All right, we are back here on the Just End the Suffering podcast, diving back into the MCU, talking to the premiere of Loki on the podcast. Joining me today, our pop culture correspondent and one of the self-proclaimed biggest Loki fans in the world, Sam Derosa is here. Sam, how are you?
Good. How are you? I feel like I'm gonna cause a scene if you call me one of the biggest Loki fans ever. I feel like people are gonna come after me now.
Again, I think we're in a safe spot here. I don't think this audience is big enough yet to come after you. So I think
who knows? We don't know who's listening.
Yeah, maybe about like a year from now, if this thing blows up, you'll start getting added on Twitter with all the mentions.
Well, I guess I'll deal with that when the time comes.
Yeah, it's also the first Marvel thing we're doing since our big movie rankings podcast at Alan Austin. You were part of the panel that submitted your rankings, and you had some interesting takes.
Yeah, I mean, I felt a little shot at, but it's all right. I appreciate you and Alan going through all those movies. It was a great listen.
I think the hardest take I've gotten out of this was, I think, Alan having the original Avengers at 15. I got a lot of people texting saying, wait, what? Like, you didn't see it when it was in theaters?
Yeah. Oh my God. That was, I love Avengers too. I don't know. If you were on the train then, you were on the train then. If you jumped on later, it's a whole different thing. I feel like,
Yeah. Defense of the great Alan Austin. Also, I will point out, like, the fact that, like, hey, credit Dave for going back to watch it. And it is a lot different if you're going back and not in the moment of having scenes. If you saw like Infinity War first, for instance, it went back there. It's like, it's not a big deal. It's only 6 of them. But like when we were in that time, we had never seen that big a team up yet. They're like, the epicness that they delivered on it was amazing.
Oh, it was so great.
So the thing we're talking about Avengers, we talk about that era Avengers movie, Loki, where we are, because in case people forgot and their mind is in the show, Loki is what we're here to talk about today. The scene from Endgame where they're doing the time heist and then they screw up getting the Tesseract back, and 2012 Loki gets his hands on it and goes back in time. That's the Loki we're following, which I think was a fun choice because it was fun. I'm going to throw the spoiler warning up real quick for those of you who have not seen the premiere of Loki, which came out on a Wednesday on Disney Plus, and they will stay on Wednesdays going forward. All right, you've been warned. Go watch Loki if you do not want to be spoiled. So I will say this coming out of the front here. I mean, it was fun because Tom Hiddleston did an incredible job of slipping right back into that version of the character, considering like he gets in, he lands in the desert, and he goes to see the people. He starts giving his speech about how he has a divine purpose. It was so fun.
I was actually really surprised. Like I bought it. So I was like really kind of like hesitant. I'm like, oh man, like it's so far, it's 2021. It's been 9 years since the Avengers, the original one, came out. So like, how is he gonna like go back? You know what I mean? So I thought that was so funny. And then they're like, who are you? Like the subtitles killed me.
The subtitles were great. And I did love like this episode for that, and him in it was great. But my one complaint, and I feel like you have the same idea as me, is like this episode, as fun as it was just a gigantic info dump for 50 minutes.
Oh my God, so much. Like the beginning was great because it was kind of like hinting, like, where are we going? What is this? And then like, that was like what, half of the episode, and the last half was like, here's this information. Here's that. Like, we're going to tell you all about what this is. I don't want to give too much. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but like, I'm sure you catch my drift and what I'm ranting about.
Yeah. I mean, we start off, 2 minutes into it, he gets captured by the time variance authorities, and then he gets taken in. We spend the entire rest of the episode, aside from one scene, like in that TVA office, which to me is like, it was fun. I like seeing some of the people we got there. We got some great actors. Owen Wilson is fun, but like, I feel we could have sped this along a little bit.
Yeah. Though I knew the ending of the episode when we went back to 1568 in France.
Yeah.
Did you catch that?
Yeah, we went back. Yeah, the ending was like we went back in time again. I think it was like this is 1800 or something like that.
Yeah. I totally knew exactly what like Owen Wilson was going. Morbius, right? Is his name? Yeah. I totally caught that. So I was kind of a little upset about that. I was like I guessed what was going on. Yeah. Because it was like too close, that stained glass,
Yeah, it was a little close for that. And I do think we spent a lot of time on TVA because I spent a lot of time in there. And what'd you think about the orientation video? I thought that was very funny.
That was great. I like how the entire TVA is kind of like 60s, 70s, like aesthetic.
Yeah.
Everything, like even the brand new computers look like old school stuff, I just thought it was really interesting. Everybody dresses like business casual. I love Casey.
Yeah.
The desk guy. He was
Yeah.
great. He's dressed like he had like a 70s like what stash, right?
Yeah. He had the stash, he had the pocket protector.
He was great. So I liked how they took like a very retro look onto everything. Meanwhile, they're the most advanced people, ever. Or if they're people, because he didn't know what a fish was. So
yeah, that was also funny when he's like, what's a fish? And they kept going back to it because I went to Casey again. He's like, and he went and told me about it. He said, got me like a fish. I had no idea what that even is.
That was great. He's like, can you just explain to me what it was? I want to know how threatening it is. Like, I want to know the level of this threat. Like, I thought that was cute. Like, it was more funny than I anticipated. I thought it was going to be more serious. I don't know why, because, Owen Wilson is in it. I feel like Owen Wilson's a very funny dude. So I feel like lots of projects he does is in the comedy realm. But this first episode was very like lighthearted, upbeat. Even this like the more serious parts were still kind of upbeat. Yeah,
the vibe I got from it in terms of like the tone of the show felt very Guardians 1, the sense where like Loki is Star-Lord, where he's trying to explain, and like he's going to people's like, you never heard of like a dance-off? Like stuff like that. Like I just imagine.
Yeah, that's very true. I didn't even think about that until you brought that up. That's a very good observation.
Yeah, I did like the whole thing. The one thing I felt was weird was like when he goes through, watch the video, then it felt I got vibes of the DMV when it comes to take the ticket and then like go to the window and like I'm like this one place I did not miss the pandemic was the DMV, so I did not want to revisit that.
Yeah, though that like cinematography angle shot of him standing with all the lights behind him was so sick. I don't know why that's like the image that sticks with me the most through the whole episode.
Yeah, by the way, how harsh is it that the other guy who went in there, didn't grab the ticket, just gets vaporized, he doesn't have a ticket?
I guess they were just trying to like set up that these people are really freaking serious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That guy was so annoying too. Like I understand he was there for like a reason, but like he was so unnecessary.
Yeah. He was
and
there.
It kind of was like that light beat kind of like threw me a little bit where I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this show too much. So I was kind of like a little like, pump the brakes a little bit,
Yeah, I will admit I laughed when he got vaporized.
Oh, me too, because I'm sure everybody who does work at the DMV, who probably like is watching this as well, is probably like, I wish I could do that.
Yeah, and I loved afterwards, like Hiddleston's a good job acting there, like frantically like looking to make sure he still has his ticket.
I know, but like it's funny on one aspect, and the other aspect, I'm like, this isn't Loki. He wouldn't do this. And I don't mean like, then I'm like, maybe I'm just too far away from 2012 Loki, because like he was funny. Because if you look back at the images they played, him's like, I'll have that drink now, or like things like that. So I'm just like a little like, I'm not too sure how this is going right now. Yeah.
Two other things I wanted to touch on here. One from the video was the reveal of this thing called the sacred timeline, which the phrasing was odd. It brought me back to Da Vinci Code when Robert Langdon talked about the sacred feminine. I'm like, okay, the timeline is not sacred. And I thought that was interesting. And the scene where Loki's being judged and he basically tries to pass the buck and say, hey, like, it's not my fault I'm here. The Avengers are why I'm here, because they went back in time and they stole the thing when they weren't supposed to. And they're like, I thought it was interesting that they said, hey, the Avengers are supposed to go back in time. You were not, which I thought was just the writer saying, hey, don't question us on Endgame. It all makes sense.
That's what I was saying too. I'm like, wow, way to just like tie up that loose end. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I understand why it had to be done. Part of me is like, we're not gonna just talk about this at all. We're just gonna be like, judge, gavel, boom, next case kind of deal. So I thought it was interesting.
Well, I mean, technically, and they could headcanon it and say, okay, well, Steve Rogers went back, returned everything, closed off all the loops. So there you go. But like, I think it makes no sense.
I wonder if that negates the theory that Cap went back to save Natasha.
I didn't even know that was
like, okay, well, maybe it's just like the theory that I've heard on TikTok / social media that Cap goes back and saves Natasha, and it's her in the end of Endgame, not Peggy. Now I know there's lots of like ifs, ands, or buts for that theory, but it's an interesting one to think about, that maybe that wasn't maybe him and Natasha at the very end of Endgame, but he could have saved Natasha, it could leave that small little door open.
The thing I'm confused about with the TVA guys is like, they seem to like, oh, you have to stop the variants before they get to destroy the timeline by creating the whole multiverse. Is again, that multiverse word is like, but again, we see at the end of Endgame, like Steve Rogers spends his entire adult life with Peggy Carter. It's just like, 30, 40 years before he comes back and as an old man gets the shield to Sam. Like, that doesn't make sense.
I know. It's kind of weird unless he's like living both and like with his variant living in the same mainstream. I'm not too sure. I feel like maybe they'll explain it a little bit better as time goes by. Hopefully. I don't think they will, but that's the pessimist in me.
That gets like I'm still a little scarred by time travel from Lost season 5, so this is not helping my cause. Like I just keep thinking
Lost, they're the worst.
I just keep thinking back to like all like they were skipping through time, and then like they're shooting at each other outriggers and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, I don't want to go down this road in the MCU.
No, I don't either. And honestly, I still can't even like follow Lost season 5, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Lost season 5 is own can of worms, but I think the next part of the episode is the more interesting part where Mobius basically comes in and saves Loki from being reset, whatever the hell that means. Never really find out exactly what that is or why it be painful or whatnot. But Mobius says, I have a job for you. He's going to try and recruit Loki. And I think it was interesting how he basically says, like, why do you do what you do? Like, why do you like want to like hurt people and try and rule everything? Like, why? I think that was interesting. It's basically forced Loki to examine, why do I want to do all these things?
Yeah. And like, at first I was like, they're just gonna loop this all up in like the first episode, which they did, but at least they spent some time. At least Loki got to see his literal end game, like what his ending was. I don't know, I just like for who he was back then and all the convincing he needed from that Avengers movie till his death. Like he needed all that like character development and where he like rose, he fell, he rose, he fell, he trusted Thor, he hated Thor. Then, towards the end, like they came together. I don't know. I just like feel like he is the god of mischief. I don't know. I'm not 100% certain that he's going to be 100% like the golden boy,
Yeah, I did think it was an interesting call because you figure that they were not going to ignore all the development that he has from Thor: The Dark World to Endgame. And I figured at some point he was going to figure it out considering he's in a literal hole of time. But like, I was a little disappointed they did in premiere.
Yeah, me too.
I would have liked to see them sort of convince him to come on board another way, as opposed to him just sort of skyrocketing through his future and fast forwarding to see all the highlights and lowlights and whatnot. I think this would have been more fun down the road. I do like that. There's one different thing I'll give them credit for is that Clone Wars season 3 does is Anakin Skywalker a bit, but they retcon immediately because basically he has his memory wiped. They left Loki thinking about what happened.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm glad they brought up the mom because the mom has always been his soft spot. Even in Avengers, pre-Avengers, it's been the mother that's been his like soft spot, his voice of reason. So like that kind of changing his mind, that makes sense. But I did enjoy that, like we said, we had the 70s, 60s aspect, that his file was a tape, like an old school tape thing, which was really cool. But I don't know. I'm happy about it. I feel like it was too rushed as well. So
yeah, I think for me, I feel like we more Loki's spirit to like sort of come with a bargain for him. Like, hey, like this is in it for you if you help me. I think that would be more in character Loki and to have him see his entire future and be like, have this moment of reckoning, like, you know what, like I can be a change man. I'm going to help for the good of helping as opposed to like what's in it for me. I think that would be more in character for 2012 Loki.
Yeah, I mean, I did enjoy that he saw that all the Infinity Stones live in this place.
Yeah.
Like he can't go anywhere. He can't do anything. Like no magic, no power, nothing is significant in this place. And I feel like that kind of like puts him in check a little bit. So like that helped a little bit. Like there was a lot of pros in this episode, but there was also a lot of cons. So I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot going on.
The Infinity Stone thing was definitely funny though, because we end up having that scene where we have the slapstick bit where he's trying to run away from the other Time Authority cop, and then
oh my god, that was so funny.
And he's trying to like he runs into Casey and tries to gut him, and then he sees Casey opens his supply drawer and there's like a bunch of Infinity Stones there, and he's like, "You have Infinity Stones?" He's like, "Oh, that's what they're called. We just use those paperweights."
Yeah, I know, that was so great.
Yeah, I was.
Oh my god.
Yeah, just a good point you showed Loki. He's like, hey, like whatever you value out there has no value to you in here. It's like you're stuck on our rules. So it makes you wonder if they're going to decide to pursue oh, does Loki think that he has something gained by trying to take over this world? I wonder if that's an angle they could pursue.
Yeah, my idea, you know how you said like the whole like different variants and stuff when they get reset. I just think they just sorry for stuttering. Yeah. They just destroy the variant, because I still think because you went to a different timeline, you still have yourself going. So you're kind of like a double in a way because you're in a different timeline. So I'm thinking though, going back to the resetting, is that that's what they do when they like, well, I forgot the word they used when they poke you with that stick thing.
Yeah, I forget too. That's one thing I should have written down. But I will also say with this, I think the end reveal there that he wants Loki to basically track down another time variant Loki. Cool twist. But like, I think it was a little predictable in that sense. Once they showed you the stained glass in the middle of the episode, it looked like him. Like, are we really just going to do that? Like, I think if they hadn't tipped your hand, they would have been more exciting.
Yeah, and the blue teeth really did give away. So at first it's like the Satan with the perfectly Loki, you know, like the crown.
Yeah.
And then the blue teeth, like the ice giants or whatever they're called. I forget.
Yep.
So I'm just like, I was like, it's Loki. We're fighting Loki. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. But then, you know, when they explained it and everything, but.
So that's basically for us to see is like that 2012 Loki and Mobius are going to try and track down 1850s Loki and prevent them from destroying more timelines. That's the sort of the thrust of the show.
Oh, I guess you're right. So like, that's what I didn't pick up on. I thought maybe it was, so he's a variant in 1850.
Yeah. So this is the second Loki variant. So he's using him to track down the first Loki variant.
Gotcha. I didn't even put two and two together to see like that's where you got me there. I'm just thinking this guy's just using the freaking Tesseract to jump over all times in space. Like, let's go here, let's go there. But
that's also
my brain. This is why I need to watch things twice.
That's also why Mobius is having the conversation with the cop that brings in Loki. And she's like, this is a really bad idea you have, because her mind's saying, you're just going to let a second Loki variant go on the loose and sort of just wreak more havoc and make our lives twice as hard. And he's like, no, I got this. This one's going to help us.
Yeah. Did you, I don't know about you, but I enjoyed when they were looking back to see what Loki did, the god of being like, you know, mischief, is when he like puts a bomb on the plane and he's like, yeah, I lost a bet to Thor.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was great. I thought it was like a nice little input to the brotherly love, you know?
Yeah. Then now we found out he's DB Cooper.
Yeah.
that was another funny bit. I did like that.
Yeah, I liked that one too. I feel like I've talked so negatively about the show so far, so I like to put my little positive intakes on it as well.
Yeah, the one thing I also want to say before we grade this thing, can Marvel just give us the stupid multiverse already? Because they've been teasing this now for way too long. This is something that started in Endgame. They gave us the tease again in Spider-Man Far From Home. We got it in WandaVision. We're getting it here. We're getting teased about it in Doctor Strange. It's called the Multiverse of Madness. Spider-Man No Way Home is going to have a bunch of this stuff. Just give us the stupid thing already.
I know, especially because now, like, I can't even theorize because they've put so many different components.
Yeah.
And I know we're only in episode 1 of Loki, so who knows what we're going to end up seeing.
Yeah.
From episode 2 to 6, but oh my God, I'm getting frustrated. It's June and it's summer and I should appreciate summer, but I'm wanting it to be wintertime. Yeah. So I get all this good content.
It doesn't be fair. Like, this is something Spider-Man Far From Home was almost 2 years ago at this point.
Yeah, that's so true.
They've been teasing this out for so long. It's like, at some point you're going to lose people. Like, just either give us the multiverse or just say it doesn't exist. Oh.
Yeah, no, you're very true. I mean, they did spend a long time on that multiverse, you know, TVA advertisement or like commercial.
Yeah, because like, again, they started them teasing you, saying like, look, here's the multiverse. It's like, oh no, if the multiverse happens, things are going to go horribly wrong here. And I think we're going to end up getting something where I think they end up, this is going to be one of the things that helps trigger the multiverse. I think this
I'm hoping, it's going to reinvest viewers into getting it like psyched and hyped up about it.
Okay, let's give us a grade. If you were to grade this episode, like, what would you give it?
I want to say it's like a B.
Yeah.
Like, you know, not an A. I want to give it a C because it's like the first one, and maybe I'm just being too harsh since I've only watched it one time through. But like a B minus. I'm
right in that area. It's down a full letter grade because it's too much info dumping.
Yeah, it was like way too much going on.
Because like it's high content. They're trying to spend the whole episode explaining to you what things are, what elements are to set you up for the rest of the show, which I think you could have slow played some of them a little bit. Like, we did not need, as I say, we don't need all of Loki seeing his entire future in this episode. You could have that done later on. Mm-hmm. I think it would have been fun to sort of, you know, parse out some of this stuff, not all of it right away.
Yeah, that, and on top of that, like we Disney came out and said, hey, these TV shows are for like the kind of like a slow burn. Like, we don't have to info dump this to you via movie. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they just said. They're like, so we don't have to give you all this information every movie that we bring out. That's where we're going to do these like series in between movies. And they're still info dumping on us.
Because to me, I think now this is our third Marvel show that officially counts. I mean, they basically have not acknowledged that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Netflix universe exists anymore. So,
yeah, they kind of X that out.
I mean, they're still around if you want to believe in them, but they're never going to acknowledge them as far as I can tell.
Yeah, me too.
The problem I have here with these shows so far, all like these two and what I've seen at Loki so far, is that they made them out to be such a big deal. But the first two, at least, you don't need to watch them when the characters show up in the movies again. Because especially with Captain America and Winter Soldier, Falcon and Winter Soldier, basically, if you saw Endgame, you saw Sam get the shield. In Captain America 4, he's going to have the shield. You didn't need any of that middle story. It's just sort of just like, this story was not good enough for a movie. We're going to just give it to you on TV.
Yeah, which is kind of messed up because then you're kind of saying that certain character stories aren't as important. Like, I don't know, I'd go pay to see Sam, like, have Sam be like Captain America, like the new Captain America. Like, I'd pay to go see that. And like, I don't know, but that just opens a whole can of worms of my criticisms for Marvel. But I don't know. I hope they're playing the long game with these television shows. And they'll take them more seriously as time goes on.
The other thing I'm concerned about with them is not so much WandaVision, but especially Falcon and Winter Soldier and now this one. I don't think they know how to write TV. I feel like
that's very true.
I feel like with Falcon and Winter Soldier, it's like they had this vision for a movie and just chopped it up into 6 pieces and then put the 6 pieces out as episodes. Like, I think this could be something similar happening here, right? Where this is sort of your act 1, where you're getting all the information you need before you start the adventure. Because I'm worried that they don't understand the concept of writing a television show.
No, it's very true. And then for WandaVision, the only reason I feel like it did better than the other TV shows as of so far is that they based it off of TV decades.
Yes.
So they had to do episodes because that's how they were like envisioning. So like maybe WandaVision did so well because of that reason.
Yeah.
But I totally agree with you. I don't think they know how to write for TV at all. I feel like they're still like, they're going to just find their footing. Because like, if you take it back, like I know that I ranked Iron Man high up there on my like thing. Iron Man, the movie, and then like, later halfway through like the Marvel movies, like all the writing, the directing, everything is different because they're still trying to find their footing. So I hope that this is just like early stages like the Marvel movies.
Yeah, because I think the key for them is they got to figure out how to like give you like information not all at once and have the pacing be correct, because like the issue here is like it's 2 completely different mediums. And like you said, one of it works because, hey, we had, episode formats you could follow. Like we're going to do an I Love Lucy episode, or like we're going to do the like I Dream of Genie episode. Like stuff like that makes sense. Whereas you're trying to turn Falcon Winter Soldier into like a serious drama, and then you have no idea how to pace the drama. It doesn't work.
Yeah. And if you even think about it now that you mention it, the last episode, the finale, based off of any episode, and that kind of info dumped on us as well.
Yeah, that's certainly true. Hopefully they have this going here, because this feels more fun. Like I was more engaged in this. There were points of Falcon Winter Soldier I was sort of like staring at my phone, like how much time was left in this episode. Yeah, this one I was like locked in the whole way through.
Yeah, I mean Bucky Barnes is the only attention grabber for me. Just kidding. Yeah. I love Sam as well. Yeah. But I don't know. I kind of was like so like hyped up after WandaVision for Winter Soldier, and then I was just like, all right, okay. And then now I'm like, I'm excited, but then I'm also hesitant as well for Loki.
Yeah, well, I mean the 2 that have gone out, the critics love them, so we'll see if it still maintains that level through all 6. But that's especially for another day. But for now, I also want to touch on one other piece of pop culture news that's come out the last couple of weeks, is that 90s Kids, the Rugrats reboot, is now out on Paramount Plus. I have watched all 5 episodes that came out. I know you have not, so if you have questions, I give you the opportunity to ask them right here.
Okay, so rumor mill, they have first and foremost Phil and Lil's mom, that she's like allowed to be out of the closet. Is that true? She is fully out of the closet. She talks in episodes about how she's had old girlfriends, and Howard's not in the picture. I will say Howard. It makes a lot of sense. If you remember, if you watch the 90s show, you look back, you could say, oh, like she's clearly a lesbian. Oh yeah, no, that was like the running joke. Poor Howard. But and then is the grandpa still alive? Yeah, Grandpa Lou is now a hippie, because if you think about it now, like
the show is moved up 20 years. Remember, the original Grandpa Blue was a World War II vet. Here he's now a flower child. So he's got the long, he's got like his long braid of hair in the back. Like he's talking about how he's at Woodstock and stuff like that. So Grandpa Blue is full on hippie.
I mean, remember Grandpa telling the kids how he used to play Russian roulette? Totally missed that as a kid.
Yeah.
And then is there Spike? Is Spike still in it?
Spike is in the show.
It's my homeboy. I love Spike. And then
also one more note on Grandpa Lou. Also to fit to show more of the era, it is Grandpa Lou's house that Dee Dee and Stu are living in. So.
Oh really?
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, Grandpa Lou owns the house. So like Stu's still an inventor. Dee Dee now like runs like an online craft store. She like runs Etsy, her own Etsy shop.
Really? Is Dr. Lipschitz still in the picture?
There's not been a Dr. Lipschitz reference yet. They did an episode where they basically did a pun on Marie Kondo. It was so funny.
And then all the babies, are they all the same, like from like the like where they left off, or are they doing like the OG ones?
Basically the timeline, it's like the 4 characters basically pre-Dill's birth. That's what you have to know. So like no Dill, no Kimmy, no Kira. You do have Susie's there from the start, but Susie, they aged down a little bit. So she's playing with the babies all the time. She's basically Chucky's age, not Angelica's age anymore. So it's basically those 5 and Angelica, the main kids you see. And
Angelica's annoying as heck as ever.
Yes.
Just checking. Oh, does she still have Cynthia?
Yes, it still has Cynthia.
Oh my God, that song still gets stuck in my head every once in a while.
Yeah. I will say the voice actors for the kids are mostly the same. The adults, some of them are different. Chaz's voice is weird.
Is it really?
Yeah, Tony Hale does Chaz now.
I love Tony Hale though. I'm so conflicted.
I don't like how he does Chaz's voice. Hopefully they change that down the line.
Yeah, maybe. They'll probably get some severe like criticisms from everyone.
Yeah, I do say though, I think the thing that's bothering me the most is that like there's no like clear release strategy of the show. They just drop 5 and then like on the first Thursday, I'm like, okay, cool. I go back next Thursday, I'm like, okay, I'll find more episodes. Nothing's up there except for the first 5. And then they're like, we'll tell you when the next batch is dropping. I'm like, that's not how you're supposed to release a show.
No, and I hope they don't wait like a year like a dumb move would be. They would wait so long to release them. I mean, like the animation kind of looks intense. Maybe they're still editing something.
You get used to it. It looks a little weird when you first do it, especially because Tommy's head looks very weird, like in 3D.
I mean, like I remember seeing like the trailer for it. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I could like watch this because it's just so different from what I'm used to, which I know sounds bad, not trying, but I'll definitely try to take a look at it in the near future.
Yeah, I will wait for more episodes to come out before you do that, though. I mean, because especially if you have to get this like the trial of Paramount Plus, wait till they have like a bigger chunk than 5 episodes to watch it.
Oh, we can thank my brother for that one. I pay for YouTube TV.
Yeah.
And I give him my YouTube TV, and he gives me Hulu and Paramount Plus in return. So I've been watching like the Rocket Power. Like I've been trying to like get a little 90s nostalgia to work my way up to Rugrats.
Yeah, that's absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of stuff coming. I think this can work. I think it's funny seeing them try and do like sort of fit the character into the modern age. Like there's one great bit in the first episode where like I think Stu and Drew put like Grandpa Lou on like Silver Beagles, which is basically like the basically their grandpa version of Tinder.
That's great. I love how they modernized, I should say, this show. That's funny.
And there's one bit in the episode where Angelica gets his phone and thinks it's a grandma, so she keeps swiping right on every woman that comes up on there. So it's so funny.
That's great.
Yeah. It's stuff like that is funny. They have like their premiere is a little long. They do like a double length of premiere. There's like 43 minutes the first episode. Then it's the traditional like two segments per episode after that.
Okay, that's cool that they still kept that same format.
Yeah, and there's a couple of shorts on there as well where some of them are like classic scenes they just recreate in the 3D.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, there's like 5 shorts. There's like 4 or 5 shorts on there. I think Chucky going down the slides is a short.
Okay.
Like Tommy's ball was a short. Like, there's like stuff like that.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I give that a recommend. I would say check that out. I would tell the people who don't have Paramount Plus to wait for more episodes before you get the trial.
I mean, I'll probably still wait because if it's going to just be 5, I could wait a little while longer.
Even me, you know how I like to send a pace. I got through all 5 in like 2 days.
Okay, yeah, I'll probably wait then.
Yeah, because like they're quick watches. Like they watch at the same pace I watch Clone Wars, which is basically like 2 a day.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Speaking of streaming, what else are you currently streaming right now?
Right now, funny enough, I've gone back in time to the early 2000s and watching a classic, Cold Case, on HBO Max. I don't know if anybody's seen Cold Case. It's like hella good.
Yeah.
They have some like really good stories.
Yeah.
And I like the decades thing, and they have great music on there too for each decade.
Yeah,
that's my random one. That's like I just decided, hey, we're watching Cold Case.
Yeah, that's a fun one. I'm still powering through the Clone Wars. I'm on season 6 next week. I think the Sky Guys themselves, Pete, Constantine, Nick Fryer, are going to be back. We're going to do season 6, so we're getting through that. I also started Twin Peaks. I've tried. That's been on my list for a long time, so I'm getting into that.
The first season's pretty epic. So
yeah, I did not remember at first that the pilot is movie length, so I forgot. I'm like, oh, this is cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so long. Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't realize it was like that long. And then it actually worked pretty well. I did like it. And it's pretty. It's quirky enough that I'm engaged.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just wait. You'll love it. You'll love it.
Yeah, I mean, I have this set up. I have the movie in the DVD queue now because I know it's impossible to find anywhere else. So I'm going to try and get the movie and then get to eventually the return from Showtime.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the plan with that stuff. But Sam, I thank you for all the time. I really appreciate it. Before I let you go, how can we follow on social media? Keep on some of the stuff you're up to.
You can follow me on Derosa at SDEROS6 or whatever. I mean, honestly, Google Sam Derosa. I'm here. Instagram, SDerosa175. Facebook, Sam Derosa. I'll pop up somewhere. I think I'm still blonde in all my photos. So it's like me, but now I have brown hair.
Okay. So good to know, Sam. Thanks again.
Thanks.